UTCM was birthed from me realizing that there is a greater me on the inside of me. The phrase, there's a greater you on the inside of you, means being above normal, understanding your worth, and being confident in knowing who you are. But the first person who has to realize that there's a greater you on the inside of you is you. In life, we all go through stages of the good, the bad, and the ugly, which leads us to our purpose and promise. UTCM is a platform where you get to share your story and your truth of unmasking moments that allows you to embrace all stages in your life. UTCM looks forward to many people being able to unmask, uncover, and unveil themselves on the podcast. Thank you for watching and joining us.
And we live. We here. We live. I gotta come up with a little like a little jingle and a little dance.
Yeah. I think I might try to write one. I'm not a writer, but I can try.
Come on with the creativity. Period. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. And as you join, I did forget, Yanni, to mention to you that you will be able to see the comments as well. So if you see a comment that you want to, say something to, go ahead and respond. Go ahead. You all good. You all good. So the time is finally here.
Yeah.
Season 3, episode 6. I'm just so grateful. So grateful for Ayana Robinson. Yes. We were talking yesterday, and I was so hot. I was just how grateful I am to her, right? Because she's like, yeah, because I'm not a talker, right? I'm like, yes, I definitely know that. So this is why I'm like, oh, my heart is so warm. I told her that I am forever grateful and thankful for her willingness to come on and unmask herself, right? Because at the end of the day, like I always say, unmasking is not easy, right? But it is necessary for us to be a better version of ourselves. So I don't take it for granted. I really don't. So I definitely appreciate you coming on. And big shout out to my brother, her husband too, as well. Darrell. I love them. They're super dope, super dope. And they're just great. They're a great man and woman of God. For real.
Love you too.
So people start coming on, I'll show the comments. So we just going, we ain't gonna wait. We're gonna dive
right on in.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep myself up too. Ayana got her cup of coffee. I don't have my cup of coffee because I kind of got discombobulated.
Before the show, but hey,
so I'm on a natural high right now.
Hey, that's beautiful. God bless you. I need help.
You are looking beautiful too as well.
Thank you so much.
So, right, this is the inaugural question I ask all my guests. Right, how did you feel about the questionnaire?
Well, I honestly had a due date, right? So I read the message, I had a due date, and I said, I'm gonna answer this, but it won't be right now. Honestly, because every question literally geared to the point, like pinpoints of things that I'm going to talk about today. And it was hard for me to answer there because I couldn't answer verbally yet. And so with the questions that you asked, you definitely asked some questions. I was like, well, I don't even know what that looks like. Like, I don't even know. What do you mean to unmatch? Like, I literally went through a mental, like, what? And I was like, okay, Lord, thank you. You're making it so clear. And it's just amazing to me how sometimes I believe this was on time in purpose. And the reason why I say that is because God has me, like you said, peeling back those onions right now. So literally to unmask is right here, right now. There's current time and present journey. So yeah, those questions hit me hard and it took me a minute to answer. Honestly, it did.
Right. Because especially if you are really, answering honestly, right? And truthfully, and and you're really being you, right? Like sometimes that could be scary, right? Because it's kind of like sometimes we, like how we do on social media, like we want to filter stuff, right? And not like tell the whole truth, right? Because it's like, oh, what will people think? Like, will somebody judge me, right? But with unmasking, it's kind of like I'm out here.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, like, and it's no hold bars back. And this is not for anybody else, but for most importantly, it's for me, right? It's for me to be better for me, so then I can then be better for others who are around me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I definitely and so I'm reading these responses. I said, oh. So first of all, I know we're gonna get down to it, but it was like you had mentioned something about a movie, and I'm like, I never even seen that movie before, so I was having a hard time. But like I was visualizing, like, because what you explained what it was, but I was like, oh, what is that? What is that? So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Because I definitely got a lot of questions. A lot of questions about that.
That's good. We'll talk.
So I feel like every time somebody asks you to like tell us about yourself or brag about yourself a little bit, right? Like I feel like we go to the normal stuff of, right, or the comfortable stuff, right? Like, oh, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I do this for a living, right? So I kind of want Ayana to really like take this time in this moment to really brag about Ayana.
That's good. Let me start by saying I'm a dope person.
Period.
Period. I am a dope person. I am one person that loves a lot, but may show it very differently. I watch a lot. I'm a watcher. I'm a seer for real. So, and I mean that spiritually. And then also naturally, I just watch. Like I've just always been watching my environment, my atmosphere, people around me. I am a watcher. I see people. Um, Even if the Holy Spirit reveals to me intentions or whatever, not the spirit of discernment. That ain't even a thing, but through the Holy Spirit, right? I'm one that is very I like to be around people, but I'm an introvert at the same time. I think I'm mostly introverted than to be extroverted. My husband, I call him, he's the extrovert, I'm the introvert. But when it's in the house, it's reversed. I'm extroverted, he's introverted. So I'm definitely introverted. I like to go I love nature. So I am one that is like, I love rain. I love nature. I love being around just calmness and peace. Right. So I love being peace. I like being around peace. I don't like drama. I don't do drama. I believe in having a conversation is ultimately a better way to communicate any kind of differences. Yeah, I know I'm respectable. I know I'm honorable. I know that I'm one that is. Am I bragging too much? Wait, is that a question?
Keep it coming. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Nah, keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Yeah. I'm strong. I've heard this for so long. I'm very strong. I'm a very strong person, which could be kind of taken as like she's too cocky or I'm too intimidated by her. But I'm very strong, and it had a lot to do with how I was raised. With the women in my family, with the men in my family, how I was raised. I'm very strong when it comes to certain things, and we'll dig into that a little bit more tonight. But I'm very strong. I could be strong-minded, a little stubborn. Strong-minded, a little stubborn. Throw that little in that mix.
Right. I think we all got a little bit of that.
But yeah, I'm beautiful. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and yeah, I love God, so I am.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And I love that you kind of just was like just flowing in it, right? So if we could only be able to change our lens sometimes, and really look a little bit deeper in who we are. And you're not going to always know, you know what I'm saying? Like you're going to learn, and you're going to self-discover, probably every day, right? But just trying to be intentional with not being so surface layer, about us,
Absolutely.
right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we don't really brag about ourselves enough. We don't. My apostle, my spiritual bishop dad, right, he always says, like, like, celebrate yourself.
I know
Like, you know
that.
what I'm saying? Like, we're always so, like, hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, I could have did better. Or, like, but what about you did it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can you just
What
celebrate
did you
that?
do?
Right. Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right. And that comes with a great leadership too,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're able to celebrate yourself, then who you're leading are able to then begin to, you know what I'm saying, gravitate to that too, as well.
Right.
Yeah, so no, it was dope. It was dope. I could have just kept listening. I was like, go ahead, keep going. Keep going.
That's
I'm listening.
hilarious.
I'm listening. Yeah, that was good. It was good though. It was good.
Thank
So
you.
just because you did mention something, right? And I never want to, like, sometimes people may not know, right? Like, we don't know who may be watching and they may not understand, like, well, what does she mean she's a seer, right? Like, so what does that mean you are a seer?
So to be a seer, biblically, is basically someone or a prophet who the Holy Spirit or God would send his spirit, give vision, dream, or speak to that person, but it would be by literally seeing in the spirit, right? Give a prophetic word by spirit, but it's not by us like talking right now. It's literally seeing in the future, seeing whatever God was trying to convey in a message to a people. So that's something I've grown into understanding, which again, this is a part of the unmasking process. Throughout church, I've always been called the prophetic person, called, and it's so funny because I fought with this a very long time. Like, people would say, oh, yeah, you're a prophet, you're prophetic, and this and that. And for me, I'd be like, well, I understand it, but I didn't hear it from myself, or you know what I mean? I love the fact that people come to me, but I don't hear God saying it. And I really didn't believe it until I heard God actually tell me. And I'm not really the audible one. I'll have dreams, visions, more dreams than anything. Or if I'm like around certain things, sometimes God just show me certain things. You know what I mean? So it's literally him giving you something. You not conjuring up anything, but him revealing something to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. Good knowledge. Like, knowledge is power. Right.
absolutely.
And somebody may want, you know what I'm saying, to learn a little bit more about that. Right. So you never
Absolutely.
know. You just never know how you can touch, you know what I'm saying, anybody. And maybe they have been experiencing that and they're like, oh, I didn't even know that was like a real thing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And with
Right.
you explaining what that is, that then helps somebody else, to not feel like, because sometimes it could feel a little weird. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Oh, most definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
hold up, wait a minute. Like,
Like half the stuff I see, or he'll tell me in dreams, I have to first make sure that I don't take it personal. Like, that's the
mm,
first thing, because sometimes some things I cannot reveal, but sometimes because of things happening in a dream, you'll be like, oh my God, is that about to happen to me? Or is that me in the dream? Or when you're just being used as an example or whatever. But yeah, it can definitely get a little confusing. But if you're not in, whoever may be on the live and they say, well, how do I get interpretation? It really takes you sitting with God to get the interpretation, because his Holy Spirit will reveal the interpretation, because he is the interpreter, right? But we
yeah.
don't take enough time to really get that interpretation. But yeah, let's keep going.
Right. Because that's like a whole podcast in itself, right?
Right.
Um, my God, like, yeah,
Like,
she was getting ready to go in. She was getting ready to go in, y'all. She's gonna teach y'all a little
got it.
something. We have to bring her back on for that one. We gotta bring her back on for that one.
Right.
Right. So I always tell all my guests, like, most of the time, like, when I'm reading a questionnaire, I'm always like, I read, right, what you're saying, but then I look at a word that pops
Mhm.
out to me. Right. So the one word that popped out to me when I said, describe yourself using 3 words, was creative. Right. So I
Mhm.
kind of want you to just talk about, what does the creative Ayana look like?
So creativity was something that was unveiled during the unmasking process. I really wasn't into. I didn't think I was really creative, like, until, like, I know I dance. I know that's a part of creativity, but anything outside of that was like, I think that is it. Like, I think that's the only thing. But not until, I would say, recently. I would say maybe about 3 months. maybe six months, I began to unveil different skills. So like I've always loved um, event planning or decorating, right? Now planning is a little bit different. Decorating is more the creativity that I'm more involved in. Or I began when I started therapy sessions. She said, "Well, if you'd like to create or do certain things, continue in art." So I did, and that was a way for me to kind of get through some things emotionally, where I'm able to learn how to do things with art. So I said, well, this creativity thing is kind of branching out, outside of just learning how to dance in the next thing, or do praise dance or whatever. So that's where pretty much I'm going more into when it comes to creativity, just more hands-on skills and building.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
That's dope. So, and so with that, you also started your own business, right?
I did. Yes. It's
Yes.
called, so right now it's called, and the reason why I say right now, it's called Chic Designs, because a part of the questionnaire was, what are some things that you're doing? And that is it. However, I'm a part of my journey. I am also closing it right now. I'm closing it right now because I'm taking that time to refocus on what I
Mm,
need to do to become more whole. And
mm,
sometimes because of the perspective of what you want business to be, or what do you want this next thing to be in your life, can take too much of your time, away from your family, away from you, away from God. So I'm refocusing right now. But when it opens again, it'll be out there. I don't even know if it's going to be the same name. Honestly, I'm really praying
right.
and asking God to reveal all new things. And I'm
Yeah.
not moving until I hear and see something. I'm not moving until He tells me it's time. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, right? Because that takes courage.
Yeah.
Right, to say, you know what, I created this, God gave it to me, and I'm doing it, and I'm out here now, to then
Hmm.
say, oh, time to double back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put a pin in it, pause. Like that
Literally.
takes courage, like it and I feel like like in entrepreneurship, right, a lot of people don't want to take a pause, and that's why a lot of entrepreneurs, we don't make it.
Yeah. Hello.
We don't make
I
it
hear that.
because we're fighting a good fight, but then dying and suffering in silence, because
Exactly.
we're not being truthful with ourselves. We're not saying, huh, hello, I need some information, I need to tap into somebody, I need a covering, I need somebody to pour into me because I'm about to lose it.
My, my. Literally.
And we don't want to, the thing is, it's just like being honest though. Like that's
Right.
what I really have learned on this journey. And for me, with this unmasking journey for so many years, I always walked around and felt like I had a muzzle on my mouth. So being
Mm-hmm.
honest didn't feel like that was okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it felt like if I was honest, then who feelings would I hurt? Right. It may cause a little like conflict, and I don't want conflict. I want to stay away from that. Right. So
Right.
my thing is like, just being shut out, shut down with a muzzle on my mouth, being voiceless, that was more easy. And being kind of like, like, oh, everything is going to be okay. Like, no, that's not, because at the end of the day, the only person that is really hurting is you.
Right.
Right. And that's why my body began to manifest, in illness and sickness, for so many years of just like stuffing and suppressing all those emotions and feelings because of not being honest.
Yeah.
Like that was just it. Like I really just needed to be honest. Like even though it's like it sounds like, kind of like so like hard, but it like once you begin to do it, it's like this is not that bad.
No, that's real. Yeah.
This is not that bad. Like
Yeah.
being honest is what I need to be able
Yeah.
to, you know what I'm saying, to kind of keep going on this journey.
Let me tell you something. Truth, what does the Bible say? Where it says truth shall set you free. And I don't think, like, I didn't really think about that until I began to visualize it, right? Because again, I like to understand it by seeing too. I'm a visual learner. Anytime I think about that, and what you're saying connects, because if I'm literally in a place where I honestly in truth is my choice of liberation, then that's the choice that we need to make. And for so long in the unmasking process, it's like you want to be honest, but you're fearful of being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you want to be the one that says the truthful things, but you're so fearful of whatever the next thing may happen. And that
Mm-hmm.
creates so much anxiety for a person to just get a release or just by making a decision. I hear you on that. I
Yeah.
definitely hear you on that.
And just learning that that's also a part of pride,
Yeah.
right? Like, cause so my thing is, I would get offended when I would hear Apostle say, "Well, you're being prideful," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. Like, I'm not
Right.
being like, no, I'm
Straight,
not.
just
I'm not
straight
being."
like that.
But no, yes, you are. It's a like a part of pride. It's so much bigger than what I was. The definition that was in my brain. Right, like
Hmm.
pride can be fear, right? So fear of the rejection, like, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be rejected, right? Like rejection is for your protection sometimes. But
Yep.
that wasn't my mindset. My mindset was like, I don't want to be rejected. I don't want nobody to say no to me, so that fear will automatically set in. And I didn't even realize, but that was also being prideful. Right.
Yeah, I hear
And
you.
that was something, even though like he would say that to me for years, I still would take offense to it. And it was like a wall because I
Yep.
couldn't receive it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, no, that's not me. You're trying to tell me that this is not somebody I am. But yes,
Right.
it is. Like when you really sit in that thing and really begin this unmasking journey, like you then begin to like really start to like you said, peel back those layers and
Yeah.
like wow, and really that self-reflection work is real.
It takes courage. It really does.
It really, really does. And it takes you being intentional,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because it's again, it's not an easy journey at
Right.
all, but it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's a good segue to as well, right? Because I want to go to us talking about what did your process look like, right? Of uncovering yourself. And do you remember the movie that you referenced to?
Yes. The shack.
Like The Shack. I mean, come on, y'all. Has anybody seen the movie The Shack? I've never, ever, ever, ever. So now I'm interested. I'm definitely gonna go watch it so I
Yeah.
can then really get a visual of this scene that you was talking about, right? So but what stood out to me, it was a couple of things that kind of just stood out to me so much in here. And you talked about, like not having a voice, right? Which created low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also to the point of depression and anxiety, right? So what did that kind of like, because that can help somebody, right? Like,
Yeah.
what did that look like for you? What did that anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, what did all that in that time look like for Ayana?
So it looked like a normal person, as
Mm,
if nothing's wrong. It looked like, just to give it two words, a high functioning, or three, high functioning deliverer, if that makes sense. So,
mm.
um, I'll just give you the background of it instead of
Yeah,
I was about to hold it, but I was like, no, I'll just give you the background.
we out here. Let's go.
We out here now. So I've been having therapy sessions. And just to sum it all up, to give you a little bit more, 2020, my mom's mom passed away. 2021, my dad's mom passed away. 2022, my mom passed away. Since all of those kind of like ripple effect happened, I know a lot of people have, and this is again the story where we all have something in common, right? But I know when this happened, it was definitely, it's not as though I've never had people pass in my life, but for those that were really close to me, it was definitely did something to me, right? So I've been having therapy sessions, and in this discovery of this journey and unmasking and becoming more healed and whole, one thing that I learned is the fact that I was I was able to continue the process of what Ayana needed to do for everybody else, and for the family, for the home, for the marriage, for the church, for the ministry, for everything that I'm in, right? Um, to the point where I was able to deliver and give what everybody else needed at a high functioning level, as if like I could be here smiling, we could still be here joking, we could still be here laughing, or I could just be chilling and y'all think I'm okay and I'm really internally like, going through stuff. So with that, they call it basically, well, from my therapist, and I'm okay. I told her, is it okay for me to be open about it? She said, please do. It's a part of my healing process. It's a
Yeah.
part of my unmasking. And basically, she said, it's clinical depression. It's someone who can be a high functioner, but they clinically go through things depressingly internally. And it's another thing where it's called, when you go through these different phases of grief, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're like, then you're high and then you're low. And then it's like so many emotions and so many things. I was like, what is this? Like, I have never been through this type of stuff before. I've always, felt depressed, but never really to the point where I can pinpoint what was really going on. Right.
Yeah.
So then when I began to meet with my therapist, she began to give me some instructions on how to examine and see the patterns of my life. That's when I began to say, okay, let's start. We have to start taking stuff off my table, because I'm learning that where I need to be high functioning, everything else was taking it, right? But yeah, I need to start refocusing so that I can start drawing back. And this is not people say don't isolate yourself and all. It's not about isolation. It's literally taking your life serious and taking yourself serious in the healing process, and what you need to do to ensure that you're becoming more mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, naturally healthy, whatever area that you're really trying to target. For me, it's everything, like out of every area of my life. So with that, one thing that I noticed is the unveiling process opens you up to to things that you didn't know was there, or you didn't know how to give definition to. It's like you would notice certain things, but I never knew. Like, if I could go backtrack and say, well, this was actually in my family, but I never knew it was this, or nobody really talked about it, or they were always just so sad or excluded, but they never knew that they were really depressed, or they may have been really struggling with something mentally that they never gave voice to, or maybe they didn't feel safe enough to, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt like, once a lot of that happened, I questioned God a lot. I didn't question him in the sense of like, well, are you God? Or, like, why would you let this happen? I know life happens and things begin to happen that you don't really think about or think is going to happen, if I could be honest with you.
Yeah.
But my questions was more or less like, and this might sound selfish, but some of my questions were like, all right, Lord, my grandmothers are gone, my mom's gone, you left me here, and I was like, I'm through the bloodline, the last one standing, and a part of me felt like, am I next?
Wow.
Literally. Whoo, see, I
Wow.
told you, issues. I told you. So,
Wow.
with that, I'm in therapy for that, because I want to make sure, like, first we're talking, she's my therapist, she's bomb.com. I'm not going to tell you who right now, because legally I don't want to like put anything out, but
No.
but she's helping me redirect my perspective, right? And to understand that it's okay for me to have those comments, those thoughts, those let's normalize. And I think that's one issue we have, especially in the Black community. We don't normalize having conversations on something that seems like, oh, it's just, just push it under the rug until something happens. Like, and that's when we want to be reactive, when we should be proactive in how we handle certain things in life. So just talking to her, she's helping me unveil, like literally pull back the hyperactivity of my life. And because I can still function. You know what I mean? Like, I come home, I still got stuff to do. And that's my mindset. I've always been that way. Like, I got stuff to do. I got to do it. Like, it is what it is. Right.
Right.
But to slow down for me is the troubling part. Like, people would think we're like, yeah, no, just go exercise and go do all that good stuff. But it's like, no, I actually have to stop that because now it's what I was doing was pushing everything under the rug by doing everything. But now that I have to slow down, everything under the rug is coming out.
Yeah, you got to feel it. Yep.
Absolutely.
Feel every bit of the emotion, which is the uncomfortable part, which is also part of process, which we don't like process. Process is hard.
Yeah. Hello.
It's very, very hard. It's like, I just want to be healed.
Now, okay,
That's not how
like
any of
now,
this works.
at all, at
That's
all.
not how any of this works. Yes, I thank you for sharing that. Right, because people don't realize, like, people, there's so many like different ways, and of course I'm not like a clinician or anything like that, but I,
Mhm.
just from understanding too, like, going through therapy myself too as well, which was a huge part of my, my healing journey, which is continuing on. I'm actually in the process of finding a new therapist because my therapist no longer was practicing at the company anymore that I was with.
Okay.
So I decided that the therapist that I tried to, go with again, she just wasn't it.
Okay.
Right. So I took a little break. But I do feel like now there's some new things that are coming up. Right. So I need to get back into
Yeah.
therapy. Right. So that's what I'm doing, but not, just understanding that, being like being functional, right, and depressed is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It
Like
is.
people don't understand, and they think about when they see, like, like these commercials and stuff, like you see people like really sad and drawn and and withdrawn, and
Right.
and you have to go to the psych ward, and
Right. Right.
right, like,
To the extreme.
you don't understand how many people are suffering in silence and
Yeah.
still functioning.
Yep. Yep.
And not functioning that great though, right?
Right.
Because there's sometimes too, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody, like you can literally see, and I won't share the person's name, but I was I was looking at social media and I was just scrolling. And when you're in relationship with somebody that
Mm-hmm.
you're really close with, you can see the hurt, right? Even through the
Yeah.
smile. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I reached out, like, are you good? And be
Yeah.
honest. Like, you
Please
don't have
do.
to, of course, you don't have to make sense of it. You don't have to explain everything, and understanding that that's okay. It's okay if you don't
Right.
have all the answers. But the first part of, really unmasking is, again, being honest and just saying when you're not okay. I'm not
Right.
okay. I'm not okay. And you don't have to explain what that looks like at that time. I feel like too, we feel like, oh, all right, I'm not okay, and this is the reason why. No, sometimes you
Right.
don't even know why you're not okay.
Sometimes you need somebody else to help you get it, like literally, because you're
And
so
that's why
blind.
I loved what you said in the questionnaire too, that therapy works.
It does. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why people say it don't. I'm like, I don't think you got the right one, buddy. Like,
I talk about this with Pastor Lavelle all the time, who is also my spiritual mentor,
hmm
my spiritual advisor, my counsel, all that. Like, I talk to her about that, all the time. Like, just because you went to therapy and it did not work the first time, it does not mean that you should stop. Or it
right.
does not mean that therapy doesn't work, right? And you said something just like so profound. After you said therapy works, you said Jesus has anointed therapists to help you uncover.
Yes. Yes. Because one of his gifts is to counsel. So I think one thing that we have a misinterpretation is because of how the world system has said, therapy is, right? Just like you said, like the by yourself, about the bowing your head, you're all sad. You end up in the psych ward, you gotta end up on medication, like all this crazy like stuff, right? But when you have someone, I believe, well, I have a believer. Like, I need a believer because I don't want to like go down a journey where they don't really understand anything biblically. You know what I mean? So I think if I need a therapist, I'm gonna get someone where I believe. And some people may feel different, but I needed somebody who was also in some of the places where I am now, right, or
Yeah.
have been. So yeah, I think it works. I think maybe just find the right person, or maybe moving on next, or or here's another thing where sometimes therapists unveil some things that you weren't ready to trust yet. So if you're not ready to trust, sometimes every person you go to, you're not going to get you're not going to get the band-aid off. You know what I mean?
Right.
To actually work on those areas. So
Right.
yeah, I think it works.
Yeah, it definitely. I am a huge advocate of therapy. I feel like we all can use it at some point in our life. You know, somebody always needs someone to be able to talk to, right? And sometimes you have to do it outside of the people that know you,
Yeah.
right? Because I feel like also, the therapist doesn't owe you anything, and you don't owe the therapist nothing but your honesty and just be
Yeah.
real, right? Because at the end of the day, the goal is for you to be better,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's just them giving you the tools to use, you know what I'm saying, in your toolbox to
Right.
be able to kind of navigate through those traumas, those hurts, those pains, those frustrations, those anxieties, like all the things that we deal with on a day-to-day. It just, they're there to help you kind of navigate through and be able
Right.
to kind of deal with it a little bit better. And I noticed, like, with me taking this little break, for 4 months, I'm like, I felt like I was kind of like going a little backwards. I'm like, like, and I wrote a post, I think last week, because it was real last week. Last week I had a real tough time. I had a tough time with, and it was stuff that I had to deal with in me, right? So it was dealing with my marriage, dealing with work, then with kids, right? Like it was like all these moving parts of
Right.
my life. And I'm like, all right, Naisha, you got to pause, right? Because now this is you. This is about you. You got to do some self-reflection work, right? Because I always say, you point that finger and the other three fingers are pointing back at who?
Right back at you.
So I'm like, so I knew that it's like, okay, it's time for me to, get back into therapy.
Yeah.
Because I don't allow therapy to work me. I work
Hello.
it.
That's
And I remember before when I first started therapy, I was so dishonest. I was like, it was like, well,
like
what
I
are you
was gonna feel.
like, girl? And I kept saying, like, it's not working. It's not working because I wasn't being honest.
Right. Right.
Right. And I'm like, I tore that poor lady up. I'm like, she ain't no good therapist. She don't know what she talking about. She don't know what she doing. And it was me the whole time,
Right.
sitting in that chair with a mask on.
Yep. Denial. Right.
Girls, I was in true denial. True denial. So yeah,
Yeah.
so and Shay, who is also I call my sister, she's my best friend. She got a whole bunch of titles. She actually posted something for, I believe it's for Newark residents, and I'll share the link in the
Okay.
comment section, that they actually get, because a lot of people too also, unfortunately, right, it's the unfortunate part, especially in our Black community, people don't have insurance. They don't have insurance, right? So then sometimes you can't find a therapist if you don't have insurance, right? Because behavioral health is not like this, this thing of where you're able to find that therapist and be able to get those continuous sessions, right?
Yeah.
But they actually offer 16 free sessions,
Awesome.
yes, for therapy. So I'll definitely put that link in the chat,
Yeah.
because mental health is health. Someone
Yes,
said
it
that.
is.
I don't know. I want to give her credit for that. I'll tag her too. She says that all the time. I see it like on a post. She's like,
Yeah.
mental health is health, right? So because you think of other things, like heart conditions and cancer, but what about mental health? Mental health is real.
And it
And
links to
people
all of
are
these natural
people
sicknesses.
are
Yeah.
dying.
Literally. Yep.
People are dying. People are dying. It's so sad. I work in a hospital, and it's just so sad. All the people that I see come in, right, just because of drugs and alcohol, because they're just, you know what I'm saying, trying to medicate the pain.
Right.
It's just so sad. It's so sad.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
terrible.
digress. But I thank you for sharing that. I definitely thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and make sure y'all watch the movie. Make sure y'all
The
watch the
fact.
movie. Yes, The Shack. The Shack. Pastor
It's
LaBelle
a,
said it's a great movie. So I definitely have to
and
make
it
sure
is.
that I watch the movie. Right. So I kind of want to go. I want to go a little bit talking about the self-discovery part, right? Again, like I said, something always just pop out. It pops out to me, and it was literally your first sentence that you wrote when I said, what are some of the things that you have self-discovered about yourself? You was just like so brutally honest with this. He's like, I'm like, oh, she was flowing in it for real, okay? But the first sentence that really popped out to me was you said death will unmask you quickly.
Quickly. Yes.
So talk about that. Talk
So,
about what that means. Cause I was like, I'm interested in that. Yes. Talk
right.
about that.
So I'm really talking about natural death at that point because, whew, yeah, because everything with the, like I said, with my grandmoms and my mom, the ripple effect, I began to look at it from, I had to change again. My therapy sessions helped me change the perspective of death. And like not trying to cry, right?
Take
So,
your time.
yeah. So with that, it unveils, at that point, I felt not necessarily like targeted by God, but I had a lot of questions and I didn't realize how much anger I built up towards him, but in silence. And when I began to do the work of understanding what death did to me, it began to help me unmask not only the positive things about me, but the things that you didn't think were there, or you thought you knew something was there, but you just didn't know what to call it, right? And that's where I began to talk about the clinical depression, or just being a high function type of person, but not able to process emotionally or grieve properly. So with that, death will literally unmask you quickly. And the reason why I say that is because when you're going through any kind of journey, and you're going through a grieving process, you've lost something. If it's not a person, it could be a house, it could be your dog, it could be your cat, it could be anything that is you hold precious to you, right? um Grief does something to you, but I truly believe that my process just unveiled what was always there, but I chose to ignore. So it helped me be, I guess, I don't know if this is a word, but unblind, right? So that every place where I was blinded when they were present, I wasn't able to see. Now that they're
Mm.
gone, I'm seeing so much more. I'm understanding so much more. And I'm not saying that they had to die in order for that to happen. But I am saying that because of their deaths, it helped me change my perspective of understanding what is necessary for me to unmask so that I can live now.
Mm.
That makes sense?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. That's where I am at. This
Wow.
process is about living. And that's my theme.
Mm.
Is that on your shirt? What's the word on your shirt?
Living
That's
through purpose.
crazy. I didn't even see your shirt.
Living through purpose. Yes.
That's wow. I literally I did not see your shirt at all. It's like cut
Wow.
in my thing, so I didn't even see your shirt. That's wild. But
Wow.
yeah, that's my theme right now.
Wow. And with going through therapy, that is what kind of changed your perspective of how you looked at grief.
Absolutely. Because
Mm.
you have a choice in grief. I call it good grief. When people say, and I know I've heard it in like different shows, they say good grief, and they mean like it's like a sarcastic type
Fantastic.
of
Yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like I've taken that from I've taken all the anger, I've taken all of the lowliness, the like everything that grief pretty much, the acceptance, the denial part, the highs. I'm telling you, it's like stages that you would never. I was one day I was perfectly fine. I think I was in the mall trying to find something to wear. All of a sudden, boom, something hit me, and it was like this extreme heaviness. And it was around the time, like maybe a month or two after my mom passed, and I was like, I know I dealt with grief before, but not to this magnitude. Not to this
Yeah.
magnitude. It's literally like the bipolar moments where you're like high and low, up and down, turn around,
Yeah.
literally. And yes, therapy has helped me understand, you know, you have to, and this is easier said than done. Even when people go, when whatever you have lost goes, can you see yourself in the future when they're not here?
Mm.
Can you unveil the parts of you? Now, part of that is also you being honest with yourself, right? But can the things about you be unveiled when they're not here? Now, granted, when my mom and my grandmothers were here, specifically my mom, that was my, my friend, my friend. I go to her, I talk to her, we talk to each other, we talk, we text. I send crazy pictures to her, she send crazy pictures to me. We talk, we have communion. It's my mom, it's my mother, right?
Right.
To just lose her, I can't hold. I literally said, I said, God, I would have never thought my mom would leave first. I would have never. I don't know why,
Mhm.
but just to be honest, I was like, I would have never thought it would be like what? Like literally, that was me for a very, very long time. To the point I had to learn what it is to just accept what's not here, so I
Mhm.
can continue to live, right? So yeah, death therapy helped me understand that death is not always something against you. You have to learn how to, or something you're losing does not always negative something against you. I think God always has a plan, ultimate plan that we don't understand. We don't
Yeah.
really see in the current moments. I still don't understand everything, and I may not ever, but I've accepted the fact that I won't understand. But what I do understand about Him and His will and His plan is it always works out for me,
Yeah.
regardless. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. So as you were talking, you know, I was just sitting here and it's like, you mentioned, it was probably like a month or two after your mom had passed away and you
Mhm.
kind of like just had this moment. Do you find yourself still kind of having those moments of like, my mom is not here?
Yeah, I do, and
Mm.
it's like it's getting progressively better. But I would say the last 2 or 3 months. It's been a year now, since she passed.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a year now. But last month was better than the month before. That
Mm,
month was better than that month before. So now it's at a point where, okay, I know she's not here. I can go in the house. I go in the house anyway, right? Some of her stuff is still around. Some of her stuff is still here. And I think it's still recognizing the fact that you still got to live through it,
yeah.
and it's really about making that decision to live through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that it is definitely, and I think you said this earlier, right? Like you have the choice,
Hmm.
whether or not, you want to, I guess pretty much to either, the words that's coming to me right now is evolve or remain,
Yes.
right? Um, because God does give us free will,
Yeah.
right? Ooh, and I don't know why that just made me get teary eyed.
Yeah.
Um, because you just be so stuck for so
Mm.
long, right? And it's just like, but there's more. Like I'm thinking of that song I'm Alive
Mm.
because there's more, right? And every time I listen to that song, it literally, I feel like it takes me out.
Yeah.
Like it takes me out because for so long and for so many years I just really couldn't see it, right? Like I couldn't see that there was more, right? And I have not lost my mom or my father,
Hmm.
right? But I feel like in a spiritual aspect, I have lost my mom,
I
if that
hear you.
makes sense.
Hmm.
um so now it's kind of like I feel like God he had me on this grieving journey of
Hmm.
grieving the old, right? So then I can walk into the new, in this
Yes.
new relationship of, and I feel like now with I was trying to understand it, but understanding that, you can never really understand God, right? Like, because he's all knowing, right? Like
I
you'll
feel
never
that.
understand how he thinks and what he decides to do and all that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
now it's just like, it's now, okay, I just need to just show up, right? And allow you to just be in the midst of what this looks like and really just kind of like surrender of me trying to be
Yeah.
in control of what this
That's
new is going
it.
to look like. Because I'm like, well, what is going to look like? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, how do I have the conversation? Or what is, you know what I'm saying? Like, what, like, okay, I need you to relax.
Yeah. Right.
Like, relax. Right. So I thank you for sharing. I thank you for sharing and sharing it with so much strength,
Yeah.
right, and power, because I feel like that can give someone hope, of knowing that, I can still live. We're not saying forget, right? Of
Right.
course, right? I
Right.
didn't hear you say that at all, right? And even with, like you said, like, it's kind of like what I took from it is like, girl, it's like a moment for moment type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I can't even sit here and tell you that tomorrow I may not, right?
Right.
And understanding that it's okay to be able to have that moment, but also just beginning to, like you said, accept
Ex-
what it
yeah.
is.
Yep.
Right. But I feel like it just gives people hope that I can still live. Hashtag
Absolutely.
live.
I think that's. Remember, I told you everything just changed from the answer. So yeah, hashtag live is the to
Yeah.
that question.
Yes. Yes. Oh man, this I mean, it's so amazing too as well, because I also, I don't we haven't known each other like for a long, long time. I think
Mhm.
it's been a little bit more than like 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. And I've definitely have seen like the growth, right. In just you just saying, you know what, I'm just gonna be me.
That's it.
I'm just gonna be me. I'm like, she always come to the church, right? And she's like,
As soon as I get there, let's just sit back here. It's
she
okay. It's all
she
right.
try to she try to, and she's just so polite about it. I'm like, I'm just in the back, and you like, it's like they call you like
Yeah, they like,
hootie hoo.
and then here come you. Hey, they want you in the front. I'll be like,
You're like, oh really? You gonna really throw me under the bus? Didn't we have this conversation already? I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. To the front. That's where they want you.
I'll be like,
Right.
ow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you have just like bloomed and blossomed into this beautiful butterfly that now is just soaring.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I
I
really
love it.
do.
I love to see it. You can see the glow. And I just, I admire you, putting a pause in, all of kind of the things that you were doing, right? Because sometimes too, I feel like, we do be busy, busy, busy to, like you said, like suppress, right? And not deal
Yes.
with and cover up, right?
Cover
But
it
when
up.
you gotta put that pause and that pin in that thing, and because this is so much bigger, right? Than what I think. So this is how we go on, so that obedience, that's dope.
Yeah.
And all I
I
keep hearing
appreciate
is
that.
what obedience, no, what is it, faith plus obedience equals God's promise.
Yes. Literally. Like
That's the
literally.
that's the equation that I love, love to use. God had gave me that some years ago, and I would write it but not really understanding it. I
Hmm.
didn't really understand it until like 2 years ago. It was like, yeah.
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 That's it.
So I thank you for your obedience. I thank you for your faith, and knowing that his promises are going to all come to pass for you. So I know right now you're kind of like, doing things a little different, Lee, but maybe somebody may want to reach out to you. If they do, you guys can, reach out to me, and I'll
Yeah.
give her, I'll ask her if she wants to give out her contact information or whatever the case, because like I said, at the end of the day, we never know who you may touch. You never know. Somebody may want to kind of talk to you, to hear about your process,
Yeah.
right, and the steps and the tools that you actually used too as well, and that you are using
Yeah.
too, because again, like we said, this is a forever journey, right?
Forever.
And no day is the same. No day
None.
is the same, right? So, but I would be remiss, right, if we did not talk about, and listen, you can share as much as you want to
Mhm.
share, but I feel like, you wrote it on the paper, so we should share it. Right. You did talk about some special projects that you have coming up. So kind of just talk a little bit about, I think you have a scholarship program.
So my dad and I are working on basically when my mom before my the literally weekend before my mom passed, she had a Resilient Me conference, and it's geared towards eventually she wanted it to kind of branch out for women, to understand how resilient they are, right? is actually she was gonna switch it, her whole ministry and everything, change the name and everything. But so now that that is still in place, we're thinking about this year, before the end of the year, to have an event where we're going to have funds from Resilient Me, and we don't know what kind of candidate we're looking for yet. But we're definitely gonna have some type of scholarship, whether it be for like college, or just somebody in high school who needs money or something to help them while they're in school. Whatever we could do to help, basically. So that's going to be coming up. I'm really excited about it because the legacy for her can continue.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to be dropped. So however it comes out, it's coming soon. I don't know
Yes.
when, but it's coming
Right.
soon for sure. Yeah.
I love that. I definitely love that. So make sure you just keep in contact, with the details of whatever the case may be. I definitely want to help promote in any way that I can too. That is definitely a blessing that, the legacy will continue
Absolutely.
to go on. That's amazing. And then the second thing, did I read
Yeah.
did I read that right?
You did. And I was like, So I'm working. I actually already have a book finished, right? It's been finished since last year. I'm still editing though. So I don't know if you kind of visualize as I'm talking. It's called God Made, but it's going to have self above it and is going to be crossed out basically. So, and I think that's why I'm taking my time with that, because literally I'm living the book. And in order for you to understand that not one person in this earth is self-made, I don't understand like a lot of what I've been hearing. Oh, I'm self-made. Oh, I create my own table. Oh, I'm this and that. I am the
The
table. I'm
table.
like, oh my God. Like, I am the table, ma'am. No, sir, you're not. And I'm not eating from that table either. So
And I'm not eating from the table. I
no,
can't.
it's dirty. No, but
Everything.
so
I ain't
I'm
taking
working
on that.
that. Yeah, so I'm trying to like work on that right now. Eventually it'll be out. I can't tell you the time frame because like I'm paused right now. But
Good.
it's something in the works. I believe it's something that's going to help a lot of people understand what true identity is, and understanding who they are in Christ, and understand that we all are born again. And it's going to go into some other stuff, but yeah.
Listen, I'm already in. Get me my pre-copy, please, because
Yeah.
I already have her husband's book.
Yes,
Okay.
the power of the second seat.
Okay. So yeah, we out here just being better versions of ourselves.
Hello.
Right. So yeah, I'm
Right.
excited. I'm excited. I'm already gonna get my copy. And then you'll be back on the podcast to talk about the book.
Yeah.
It's gonna be it's gonna be a game changer. I like
Thank
that.
you so
That's
much.
dope.
I really
That's
appreciate it.
dope. So we definitely have listen, and I'm still in your hashtag. I still everybody hashtag. So I'm definitely still in your hashtag in honor of your mom too as well. But do you remember what your hashtag was?
Resilient me. Hashtag resilient me. Yeah.
That's it, y'all. Put it in the chat. Hashtag resilient
me.
me.
Yes.
Right. So just quickly, right? When you say resilient, like what does that look like for you?
For me, that looks like someone who's able to withstand anything. And I don't mean be the hyperactive, depressed person. I mean, while you're depressed, don't quit. While you're still suffering, stand. Whatever you're dealing with, whether it be mental, whether it be physical, whether it be financial, emotional, marital, in your singleness, whatever, any kind of struggle, you have a choice to remain resilient. It is literally a mindset to say, I'm going to keep going. Like I said, I'm going to live. We're going to live through this. We're going to keep going. And that's the decision that needs to be made.
Yeah. That's good. Well, that's a word in itself. Drop mic moment. Listen, drop mic moment.
Right.
So, it is our time.
This was really good.
It really, really was. And I knew when we had the conversation yesterday, I already knew, that it was because she was like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Ready.
Listen, I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, listen, if it makes you feel any better, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm nervous every time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I always, but that's how I know that I'm doing the right thing. Right.
Yes.
Because when when you're passionate about something, and when you kind of still get like butterflies,
Yeah.
right? Like that's how oh, I'm in the right
I'm in
spot.
the right spot.
I'm in
Yep.
the
At the
right
right
place.
time. Yes.
Yeah, I'm around good company.
That's
I'm
right.
around good company. Yeah. So I am I'm just grateful. I'm
Thank you
grateful
so much.
and I'm thankful. And this, just doing these episodes and podcasts with all my guests is just allowing me to continue to do the self-reflection work and allowing me to continue on my healing journey
Yes.
too as well. So I don't take it for granted at all, with when you decide to come on and just be willing, to just be open and honest about your story and your truth.
Well, thank you, first of all, for giving me the opportunity to even speak. I think it's a part of the journey, right? So I appreciate you even having me on. It's been good. I'm glad. And I want
Yeah.
you to continue, please
Yes.
continue.
Yes. Yes. As long as, like you said, I'm going to continue to show up.
Yep.
Right. And as long as I continue to stay in the will of God,
Right.
right, and be honest with Him, right. I know that
Yes.
all things. So as long as I got breath in my body, unmasking the cover, me will
Yep.
live. Hashtag live.
We'll live. I love
Hey!
that.
Well, we at the end, y'all. Good night. I appreciate everybody. Everybody be safe. Have a great weekend. And always, always, always thank everybody who came on and was commenting. And I don't take it for granted. I love you all. Thank you and good
Yes. Good
night.
night.